This is a story from the Clock Almanac. The Clock Almanac was a Yorkshire Dialect magazine that ran from about the 1860s to the 1950s. It was a yearly magazine and it was all written in Yorkshire Dialect. And this is a story called Hah Dick Todd were flummox'd wi' a Pahnd nooert. Dick Todd came home one Saturday night in a right muddle. He sat staring at fire aboon an hour and never spake, but he kept muttering to hissen and counting his fingers first on one hand then on t'other, as if he were trying to reckon his wages, for that way Dick allus reckoned his brass every payday. He knew nought about such things as arithmetics or ready reckoners, and he didn't want to know because nobody could depend on him. He said anybody could alter figures in a book, but nobody could alter figures on a chap's hand, and for that reason he should always stick to the old-fashioned way. His father and grandfather had always reckoned that way, and they'd always paid 20 shillings to pound, and if a chap can do without reckoning his brass on his fingers, it's more than some folk can do reckoning with brass with arithmetics and ready reckoners, so he wanted to do nought with such things. But on this particular night he seemed to be reckoning something that completely flummoxed him, for he kept counting his fingers backwards and forwards and putting his hand on his shoulders and striking his waistcoat buttons with his thumb as if he were going dotty. His wife watched him till she could stand it no longer. She said, "What's matter with thee? Hast thee gotten Santanterus dancer to try to do a Chinese puzzle? It's enough to make folk badly to see for that going on like a bloomin' idiot." "Nay, lass," said Dick, "I haven't gotten Santanterus dance, and I'm not trying to do a Chinese puzzle, but I think I'm a bit of an idiot, or else I shouldn't have done some of the things I have done." She could see that Dick were looking very serious, so she sat down an intimate rocking chair and asked him what he'd been doing. "Well," said Dick, when I came home tonight, I gave thee my wage, and they gave me a £1 note and told me to go up to Bob Smith's, pay him that £1 back we borrowed off him 6 weeks ago." "I know I did," said his wife, "but I hope they ain't bound to tell me there's lost £1 note and they ain't paid him." "I'm not bound to tell they ain't lost £1 note, but I want to tell thee what that £1 note's done, and when they hears me what it is, that they'll be as completely flummoxed as me." "I can't see how a £1 note can flummox anybody," she said, "for it's generally for want of a £1 note that makes folk get flummoxed, and I've often been flummoxed that way mysen." "Well," said Dick, "when I set off up to Bob Smith's with that £1 note, I called in at Pick and Shovel to get a Jill, and when I got inside, first chap I saw were Bobby Sen. So I gave him £1 note and paid him for Jill and thanked him for his kindness, and then Bob said, 'Hey, I'm right glad thou's paid me that £1, Dick, because I owe Nat Paget £1 and I shall be able to pay him now. He's a decent feller, is Nat, and I shouldn't like to think that I were bound to pay him, so if I leet on him anyway tonight I'll straighten up with him.' Well, we sat talking a bit, but while we were talking, who should come in walking in the door but Nat. He said he were right glad to see us both, and after he called for a drink, Bob said, 'Thou's just come right, Nat, for I wanted to see thee the tonight, so as I could straighten off with that £1 note they lent me.' And he gave Nat that £1 note. Nat thanked him, and then we all supped up, and we went out to have a look round market. But we hadn't been at market very long afore we came across Silas Lumby, and it appears that Silas lent Nat £1 to back horse that Nat fancied for the ledger. So he said, 'I hope they'll excuse me, Nat, but I should be glad if they could pay me that £1 I lent thee. I owe Tailor Jim for a pair of breeches he made me a month sin, and I've promised to pay him tonight. But I've nobbut had a poor week, and I'm rather hard up, so if they can manage to pay me that £1, I shall be much obliged to thee.' 'That's just come right,' said Nat, 'for I've had a trifle of brass come in today that I didn't expect, so I shall be able to oblige thee,' and he handed Silas that £1 note and thanked him for the loan of it. After that we made us way to Tailor Jim's shop, and Silas went in to pay for them breeches, but he was soon out again and he brought Jim with him. Soon as they get outside, Silas waved his hand and shouted, 'Come on,' and we followed them both into Crown and Mitre. Jim called for a drink apiece, and when the landlord brought him in, Jim asked him how much he owed for his ale shop for past week. The landlord reckoned it up, and then he told him his ale shop and them 5 drinks he'd just ordered came to just £1. Then Jim said, 'Well, I might as well straighten up for the lot then. I shall have a clean slate to start with next week,' and he handed the landlord that £1 note. After that we sat talking again, but while we were talking a nice chap come in and asked for the landlord. When landlord came in, young chap told him he were collecting for a relief fund at their parson at started for two poor old widows that were members of his flock. He wanted to raise £1 at once to get him off a ton of coil because told ladies were starving. He hoped landlord would give according to his means, and if he did that he felt sure it wouldn't be long afore told ladies were supplied with a bit of coil. When he finished his tale, landlord said, "Well, lad, must be hard for old folk to be without a bit of fire such cold weather as this. So take this £1 note and get him off a ton of coil first thing a Monday morning." And he gave him same note at Jim had paid him. When Dick got this far with his tale, he stopped and sat staring at his wife. His wife let him stare 2 or 3 minutes without speaking. At last she said, "Well, go on with the tale, lad." "Well, I think I've gone far enough to show you I'm a bit of an idiot," he said. "But I can't see what they're driving at," said his wife. "Well then, I shall have to try and show thee." And he began. "Thou knows they gave me a £1 note out of my wage to pay Bob Smith." "Of course I know I give thee a £1 note out of thy wage," she said. "Well, I want thee to follow me now," said Dick, and he went on again. "Now, I paid that £1 note to Bob Smith. He paid it to Nat Paget. Nat Paget paid it to Silas Lumby. Silas paid it to Tailor Jim. Jim paid it to landlord at Crown and Mitre. Landlord paid it to Parson. Parson's bound to pay it to Pitt for half a ton of coil, and half a ton of coil will go to 2 widows. So they sees that £1 note, paid 5 men the debt off, paid a £1 subscription to Parson's fund, and it's bound to buy half a ton of coil for 2 old widows. So just to follow me now." "Aye, I follow thee," said his wife, "but I want thee to tell me why thee thinks there's a bit of an idiot." "Well, I'll tell thee," said Dick. "I think I'm a bit of an idiot because I'm the only man that did any work for that £1 note." "Oh, I see what they mean," said his wife, "and it really is fair capping." "Aye," said Dick, "but that didn't end on it, for when I go to my work on Monday morning, I shall very likely have to get coil at that £1 note'll pay for, and when payday comes next Saturday, I may get same £1 note in my wage again." "If there's been trying to reckon up how this comes about," she said, "I don't wonder that they've been flummox'd." "No," said Dick, "it's enough to flummox anybody, and I can't understand it at all, but it seems to me if I go on like this, I shall soon be supplying everybody with coil and paying every bugger's debts." "Aye, it looks very much like it," said his wife, and they both went to bed. Poor Dick had been trying to solve a problem that's baffled better men than him, and that problem is how to get a just and fair distribution of a nation's wealth.